What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to Ben Builds. This is episode number 10 for the Spiffy Tiffy Buddy Build, and we are going to finish this kit today. So hopefully you're going to bear with me. This is going to be a bit of a longer episode than what I'm normally going to be doing, but I just really want to get this thing finished and on my display shelf. So let's go ahead and take a look at the aircraft itself. Now, last time we went ahead and put on the future floor polish. We let it cure for about 72 hours, and it is looking beautiful. We have a mirror-like finish on a lot of different parts and pieces. Everything is nicely covered. We're looking beautiful. So now what we have to do is, of course, apply the decals. Now, having a gloss coat on your model is really, really important, especially if you're going to be doing weathering and you're going to be putting on the decals, because the decals are gloss. If you gloss the model, everything will be blended together nicely, and when you weather it down, it'll all be uniform. That's really important too. So everything is looking great. Let's pull out those decals and let's take a look at them. See what we have in store for us today. All right, guys, the decals look beautiful. They are very, very high quality decals. They look a little thick to me, at least in the rondel area, but we'll check that out when we actually start applying them. We're going to be using these XMM, these call letters right here. We have different rondels, of course. Make sure to get them in the right position. We have the one with the yellow band here on the fuselage. The larger ones are going to go here at the top of the wing, and then the smaller ones are going to go on the bottom of the wing. That's pretty simple, but make sure not to put the yellow band one on the bottom and the no band one on the side of the fuselage. So we also have these buzz numbers here. We're going to have to go ahead and put those on. And we have stencils. A lot of Eduard kits come with stencils, and I like that. So we have a whole page of stencils, and we have a whole section here on the decals that are full of stencils. Now, we don't have to worry too much about it because in this kit, there's not that many. We'll start up here on the fuel filler cap and work our way to the tail. All right, so all of our decals are nicely cut out. We have our stencil page open. Here are the stencils. We have the rest of the decals off to the side. We'll worry about those a little bit later. Now we're going to be doing a basic decaling, nothing fancy, much like I've always done. We got our water here right in front of the tap. We've got our micro saw, micro set. We have our tweezers. This time I'm using both the bent neck tweezers and the reverse action tweezers. That should be helpful when I get into holding up parts and pieces. We have our Q-tips right here for blotting up extra liquid, and of course decal setting solutions. Let's go ahead and dump these out right here. And we have our soft brush that will be used for applying those solutions. Make sure to wash that out between microsol and microset applications. I usually try to do that as much as I can. And let's go ahead and fold this page. We have our stencils right here. I'll be doing these first. So yeah, doesn't look too bad. One thing I do like to do, and I highly recommend it if you're going to be using some of these decals and stencils, get yourself a highlighter. And of course, just dot the ones you already do. That's what I do, and it works very well. Okay, so we're going to start here on the fuel filler cap, work our way to the tail. Let's go ahead and rock on and see what we can do. I really hope this goes well. Okay, let's do it. All right, first things first, and take a little bit of micro set, just dab it right where the decal is going to go. In fact, that's a bit too much, to be honest. I want to pull a little bit off of there. There we are, mix it around. Now I'm going to be grabbing my decals. So I've had this actually soaking just a little bit off camera, so we're ready to go. And with my reverse tweezers, I'm going to go ahead and take these and just slide it right on to the fuselage. Yep, looks like it's ready to go. Let's just slide it up there. All right. Whew. First decal is on, guys. Let's go ahead and position this, make sure that it's nice and even where it needs to be. Yeah, that's looking good. Perfect. All right, so now we can grab our micro set, just kind of rub it over a little bit there, kind of dab it around, and we'll be coming back. We'll be applying the micro sol, and that should help to really suck that decal down to the panel lines. We can use a Q-tip as well just to dab any excess that's kind of accumulated around the decal so that we don't, ruin our future, because sometimes I do find that it kind of discolors it a bit, makes it a bit flat. But I don't know if that's just me or if other people experience that as well. But it doesn't really matter as long as you just wipe it off. All right, so all the stencils are on. Everything is here. It's kind of hard for you guys to see, I'm sure, because of the gloss coming off there, but everything is here on the side, is all ready to go. This decal right here is actually misplaced. Should have been a little bit farther back up the fuselage, but oh well, live and learn, right? It's fine. Everything is checked off with the highlighter, so we are ready to start moving on to the regular set of decals themselves. So we got the upper wing rondels, we got the lower wing rondels, the side fuselage rondels. I've got one soaking here, so it's ready to go. And we're going to start here on the wing. This is going to be interesting. These do look a little thicker, to be honest. The rondels on the top side of the wing are a bit thick. I don't know if you guys experienced that as well, but we're going to see if the micro-saw micro-set combination doesn't help get these things really sucked down into those panel lines. So I've thrown the other rondel on, and I've got some micro-saw on it, but I think I need to adjust it just slightly. You can adjust decals a little bit after the micro-saw is put on, but don't go trying to move them too much after the micro-saw kind of gets on that decal, because it will start to soften it pretty quickly. But we're going all right, so I'm going to continue pushing ahead. We're going to get the rest of the decals on. I'm going to do it off camera because, well, it's just pretty much, you've seen one decal go on, you've seen them all. So let's go ahead and get the rest of the decaled, and we'll be back. All right, everybody, so the decals are on. Everything is beautiful. The micro-saw is taking effect to some of these decals, and they're starting to wrinkle up a little bit. That's okay. They will eventually suck themselves down into the panel lines, but we've got everything on. It's looking beautiful. I'm really, really pleased about this. Though I did have one problem here with the fuselage, and as you can see here, there's really no space between the buzz number and the letter code. On the other side of this fuselage here, there's lots of room between the buzz number and the letter code. That's a bit of an issue. The decal placement guide shows it just like this, however. It's got the R, the 8 and 8 are on the outside of the band, and then the 9, 3 are on the inside of the sky band, just like this. Flip this around, it doesn't line up. It actually should be the R8 on the sky band and the 893 off the sky band, then the XM, and then the rondel and the M. But as you can see, I couldn't do that because unfortunately it wouldn't have lined up. And the instructions show it all lining up, and it wouldn't. The rondels would have been off. So unfortunately I had to go with that. Bit of a troubled spot, but it's not too bad. Otherwise, I'm very pleased with it. And really, I don't think anyone's going to really notice that too much. So it's all good. All right, guys, so we are back. I've actually let this dry for 72 hours. We're back on the bench. It's a couple days later. Everything is dry. We've thrown on the bomb racks. We are ready to start weathering. We do have to throw the guns on. We have to throw the door and the top of the canopy on as well, plus the rear aerial and the bombs as well. So we have a little bit of work to do, but we're going to finish this up today. So with the guns, we are using a specific type of gun that the instructions call out that doesn't have a shroud. So you can see the exposed spring. And these guns are massive. I think these are 20mm cannons. So these things could pack a punch for sure. We're going to put a little bit of extra thin Tamiya right there on the inside of the gun port and on the gun itself. And we're just going to push these together and let this all solidify. We're going to have to make sure these line up on the vertical and the horizontal to make sure they don't look like they're dipping down or pulling up or askew right or left. So we get those all lined up. We should be good to go. All right, so the guns are on. Everything is looking nice and true. Vertical, horizontal, everything is spaced out evenly and everything looks perfectly straight. So we're good. Now we have to start the weathering process. I'm going to go ahead and start making my sludge wash. I'm going to start off with that, use that as a base coat, and we'll build off of the sludge wash. So let's go ahead and start in on that one. I've got my dish here. I'm going to be scraping with my hobby knife a little bit of this brown pastel. I'm going to make a little bit of a sludge wash out of this brown, and we're going to mix a little bit of the gray into it because I don't want to use anything too stark. If I went with black, I think it would be too stark, especially against the white nose. So this is going to be a nice mixture. I'm also going to throw some dark gray here, my AIM weathering powder, my trusty AIM weathering powder. Drop a little bit of dark gray on that, and we're going to mix it all together. We're also going to add a little bit of water here with my syringe. Drop some water in there, a little bit more. There we go. And we're going to mix it up with the back of one of my brushes. You can see here that the surface tension is super strong. It's not mixing in the slightest. But what we're going to do is we're going to break the surface tension with some dishwashing liquid. That's going to help to conform and mix everything up to make our actual sludge wash. So let's go ahead and grab that dishwashing liquid. There we are. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. And we're going to mix this up and watch this. It just breaks it up Beautiful, beautiful. It's going to make everything nice and smooth. Going to break that surface tension, get everything nicely mixed. I actually might want to add maybe 1, possibly 2 more drops. That might help the mixture a little bit more. 2 more drops. Let's mix this up and get this thing ready for application. And let's grab that brush and start applying it onto the model. All right, moment of truth. Here we go. Sludge wash. I'm just going to push it all the way around everywhere, every nook and cranny. We're going to cover the entire aircraft in this sludge wash. And as you can tell, it's very brown. It's got a little bit of gray in it. I think that's going to be really, really nice, especially for the white nose and for the lighter parts. It's going to give us a little bit of a dirty look to it. Since this was a ground attack aircraft, I want it to be a little dirty. I don't want it to be as clean as, say, like my P-36. My P-36 was relatively clean. This I want a little dirtier. But I don't want to go overboard because I'm not that adept at weathering yet, so I want to keep it a little bit low key. So this should be fine. This should be good. And I like how it looks. So we're going to cover the entire model, let it dry for probably about 10 minutes after I'm finished with it. And we'll come on back and we'll start pulling it off. Now to remove the sludge wash, I'm going to use my paper towel, lightly dampened in some water. And I'm going to draw the paper towel across the wing, across the fuselage, across everything in the direction of the airflow. And I want to be careful not to take off too much of the sludge wash. I want to leave enough of that residue in the panel lines and any sort of recesses to have it look as if airflow has blown across the wing and kind of pulled some of the dirt and grime across towards the trailing edge of the wings. That's kind of my goal here. So I think this looks pretty decent. The nice thing about the sludge wash is it allows you to build a nice base for your weathering. It's not too glossy, though it does retain a bit of gloss, but it allows you to build off of a nice weathered foundation. And it's not too stark either. It's nice and subtle, and I love subtle weathering. It's just really, really cool. Now that the sludge wash is mostly off the kit, I want to go ahead and start doing a little bit more of the fine points, such as chipping. And I'm going to use my trusty Barrel gray colored pencil. It's freshly sharpened. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to start drawing in some of the chips. I'm going to chip up the cowling as well because I want to give it enough to give it that impression of, yeah, they've worked on this a little bit. They've opened up the engine. They've poked around and fixed things. You know, a nice subtle effect. I'm also going to chip the underside of the wings. Now, taking off from airfields, you're going to have rocks that are going to be kicked up and are going to hit the bottom of the airplane. So on these black stripes, I'm going to go ahead and chip a couple of sections off of that. And I'm also going to chip the inside of the landing gear wheel covers as well. Again, just a subtle chip here and there, just a little bit to give it that extra bit of character. Now on the white nose, I'm going to use this brown colored pencil, and I'm going to actually use this as somewhat of an oil stain. Trace it along some of these panel lines. You can always use an eraser to pull off if you think it's too much or you don't like the placement. You can just erase it right off there with an eraser. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. So a little bit here along this panel line, as if maybe the oil has sat a bit and maybe run down. Kind of a fun idea. You can tell a story with weathering, which is really fun too. So I'm trying to tell a story of this particular aircraft. A little bit here on the nose, maybe some oil dripped down from the engine. Now on the underside, I'm going to take a little bit of an oil wash, which I've made up from Tester's rubber, and I'm going to drop it a little bit here and there, and I'm going to streak it slightly. I'm going to do this over a lot of the frontal nose area, a lot of the top of the engine, maybe sometimes in the landing gear bays. I'm going to give a little bit of a streak for some oil here and there, and I think that'll be really, really nice. I'm going to go ahead and paint up the bombs. And we're using derailleur cable here as somewhat of a holder for the bombs. We're going to just take a little bit of this derailleur cable wire, which is very, very fine wire. We're going to cut it, and we're going to use that to hold up the bombs. We're going to use some of our Tamiya JA green, really, really nice green color. And this is the closest color that I have that matches the color of the bombs in the instruction manual. So we're at the point now where we can start taking off some of the masks. And as you can see, I've installed the door and the top part of the canopy. Those will most likely fall off when I try to go ahead and pull off these masks. I should have thought about that before I glued those on. They're just glued on with white glue, so most likely they'll fall off. But I'm going to go ahead and demask the canopy, and let's see how it looks. Should be pretty sweet. And the masks themselves, I gotta say, Eduard masks are beautiful. They're coming off without leaving a lot of that residue. They're really easy to put on. They're beautifully cut. Yeah, this is a really, really good investment. So I might look at Eduard's masks a little bit more seriously now. They do save a lot of time, which is amazing. little bit of tweezer action here. We can pull off these masks. We'll do the whole canopy. We'll be back. My prediction was correct here. We actually did end up knocking off both the door and the top of the canopy. That's okay. I kind of figured that. We're going to reattach them. Just a little bit of this white glue right up here along the top of the canopy. We'll use a Q-tip here and we'll just kind of draw it along, make sure it's all nice and covered. And then we'll just take the top section and we're just going to drop it right on top of that. Usually this doesn't stick as quickly as it is, so I don't know what that's all about. But hey, it's sticking really, really well. So we're going to leave it like that and let that dry for a bit, and then we're going to put on the door. Now the door, I'm just going to use some Tamiya extra thin cement right here on the inside on that hinge. Let that dry. Now speaking of clear parts, I want to go ahead and install the tip wing navigation lights and the landing lights as well. So those require a little bit of finesse. We're going to be using some Elmer's white school glue, just like we've done with other clear parts. And we're just going to drop a little bit right in there. It's probably a little too much. Take a Q-tip there and wipe a little bit of it off. Where's that Q-tip? There it is. Okay, just a little bit here. And I'm going to kind of spread that around a bit too. Should be decent enough. And now we're going to go ahead and take our clear part, clear corner. And these are going to be red and green. So let's go ahead and stick this one on here. Just right in the corner, right like this. There we go. Perfect. We'll let that dry. We'll come on back. We'll hit the other side, and then we'll start painting them. So see what we can do. So the landing lights are on. The navigation lights are on. Let's go ahead and pull out our clear red and our clear green. And we're going to go ahead and touch up these lights here on the very end of the wings. We're going to start with the clear red. And I love clear red. It covers beautifully. Just a little bit of a drop of red right there. Perfect. It covers very, very well. Now the clear green doesn't cover as well. So I recommend that if you go ahead and use clear green, I would actually paint it with a true green first, like with a gloss green, and then overcoat it with that clear green, and you should have a really nice effect. So we're just going to cover the bottom side of this as well. Perfect. All right, everybody, without further ado, let us have a look at the finished product here. Drum roll, please. Here she is, the 1/48 scale Eduard Typhoon, finished in all of her Spiffy Tiffy glory. I gotta tell you, this has been such a fun buddy build. So the kit itself is beautiful. It's Hasegawa plastic, so it's very well detailed, fits decently well. The only issue, of course, were the inserts, but we'll get to that a little bit later. The detail parts that Eduard adds to the kit, such as the resin, the photo etch, everything just fit together so well. Beautiful, beautiful job on those resin parts, and the photo etch adds so much realism and depth to it. Yes, it's a little difficult to put all those levers on, but it's very much worth it. The kit itself went together decently. I had only a few little fit problems there with the wing. They were a little slanted, so I had to correct the dihedral, and of course the inserts. Now the inserts themselves aren't too bad. Nothing you can't solve with a little bit of styrene and a little bit of super glue for filler. So if you end up getting the kit, just be aware that those inserts are a little tricky. And that's all she wrote, guys. The model is finished. The Tiffy is completed. This has been a wonderful group build. I want to go ahead and take this opportunity to thank Martin for hosting the Spiffy Tiffy Buddy Build. It has been so much fun, and it has been an honor building with everyone here. I've also learned so much from watching the masters at work. You guys are amazing. I mean, all of you gents out there who are building the Tiffy here, it's just so awesome watching you guys work. So big thank you to each and every one of the participants and every one of my subscribers too. I am always humbled just to think that there are people out there that actually want to watch me build a model. So again, big shout out to Martin. Big shout out to every one of you who are building here in the Spiffy Tiffy Buddy Build. You guys are awesome. That's all we have left on the Spiffy Tiffy. We are finished. Ben Build season number 4 is done. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break here on Monday nights. I'm going to be working a little bit on my Sci-Fi Wednesday builds. I want to get some of those completed. So hopefully we'll be getting something out on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. Until then, guys, it has been such a pleasure building with everybody. Hopefully you guys have a beautiful, beautiful holiday season, and we will see you back here soon on Ben Builds. Until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscription if you'd like to. Hit that notification button so that you're notified next time I post a video. And we will see you real soon, everybody. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here next time on Ben Builds.